Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our next video on the spotted lanternfly, and specifically going through understanding insect life cycles. Let's get started on this next video. So what is the spotted lanternfly? Well, remember, the spotted lanternfly is an invasive species native to China, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. And although it has two pairs of wings, it's going to jump more than it actually goes through and flies. And its host plants include grapes, stone fruits, and malus species. Now remember, an invasive species is a species that is not native to whatever area it's been introduced to. These have been introduced into Berks County from China, from a stone shipment from China. And it's important for us to understand that as we study these lanternflies, these invasive species have an ecological impact on the environment. So again, if we're going through and reviewing, an invasive species is a non-native species that spreads from the point of introduction and becomes very abundant in that environment. The lionfish, the stink bug, the cane toad, and then we also now have the lanternfly. These are all invasive species that have impacts on the ecosystems. So it's important for us to go through and study them and come up with tools and ways to go through and control their populations. Now we've already gone through and talked about where the lanternfly came from a little bit. Now the lanternfly came from a stone shipment, and it came into Berks County. There was some sort of stone shipment that went through, and they were going through and renovating a household. Now this is a picture of Berks County here. And what happened was on these stones in Berks County, these lanternflies happened to be on them. And as they went through and they were released into the environment, they went and they reproduced and took over that area of Berks County. Well, as time went on, they continued to grow and grow and grow in population until they've affected most of eastern or southeastern Pennsylvania. So these lanternflies have gone through and they are consuming plant material within the environments of southeastern Pennsylvania. And they have been wreaking havoc on southeastern Pennsylvania because the plants and the trees that they go through and consume have no way of defending themselves. And the invasive lanternflies have no natural predators. So it's important for us to understand what trees they're going through and consuming and how we can prevent further degradation of the environment from this lanternfly. Now, in order to understand how we go through and eradicate the lanternfly, we also have to understand life cycles. So insect life cycles go through, and this is essentially how these insects go through and grow from adolescence to adulthood. And there's going to be two ways that insects mainly grow. We have incomplete metamorphosis, and that's in the case of the lanternfly and grasshoppers. And then we're going to have complete metamorphosis. And this is something like butterflies. We go from a caterpillar to a complete butterfly here. So what we're going to do is look at these two insect life cycles. We're going to go through and study this, and then we're going to go through and understand how the lanternflies go from their nymphal stages to the adult stage. Now, in incomplete metamorphosis, this is when an insect hatches from an egg and it goes through several nymphal stages. Each nymphal stage kind of looks like a smaller version of the adult, but getting slightly bigger with age. So we're going to start with the egg, and we're going to look at in the case of a grasshopper here, we're going to see what we call a nymph. And a nymph is going to be almost like a baby insect of that full-grown adult. And when we go through these stages here, we go from egg to nymph to adult, and then the adults go through and they lay their eggs again. So in incomplete metamorphosis, remember, we call these nymphal stages when they look like a smaller version of the adult. Now in complete metamorphosis, well, this is going to look different. We have four very distinct stages: the egg, the larva, the pupa, and the adult. And in each stage of complete metamorphosis, the animal looks different than all other stages. So again, with this complete metamorphosis, we're going to start with the egg, but we're going to move into this larval stage here. This is going to be like the caterpillars that we see out in the wild. Now, as we go from here, the caterpillar is going to go through a pupa stage, where it's going to be a pupa. And once it goes from pupa, it's going to move into its full-blown adult. And the adult looks very different than the larva. And again, this life cycle, we're calling them cycles because they're going to go through and occur in a cyclical pattern. But remember, in complete metamorphosis, each stage looks distinctly different. So if we look at the lanternfly life cycle here, we're going to start off with the egg. And we generally see eggs going through and being laid from October to June. And the egg's going to go to this first instar, this first nymphal stage. And it's going to be this small little bug here, and it's going to have little white spots. It's got a black body and white spots. And we start to see these first hatch from May until June. Now, as we go from the first nymphal stage, we're going to move into the second, or the instar 2. And the body is going to turn red. It retains the white spots, but we're going to have black legs with a red body now. And we generally see this stage from June to about July. This is the shortest stage of the life cycle. Now, from this instar 2, we're going to see the full-blown adult lanternfly, where the wings go through and fully develop. And this adult, remember, this is a pattern. It's going to go through, develop from July to September, and then it's going to go through and lay its eggs from October until, December. And we're going to see this pattern go through and occur again. So this is going to be the incomplete metamorphosis of the lanternfly, and we can see these very distinct stages here. So the goal of this project is to go through and build traps and pesticides to go through and fight these lanternflies. So we have traps that we're going to go through and discuss, but we can also talk about organic pesticides that can go through and treat these lanternflies. So this is going to be the end of the video. This is what we're going to be looking at class. I look forward to seeing you guys in class tomorrow.